10 The Ticket, KTCK Dallas Fort Worth, KTDK Sanger, KPLX HD2 Fort Worth, a Cumulus station. You're listening to George Dunham, Greg Miller, and Gordon Keith, the Musers in the Morning, on Dallas Fort Worth's original all-sports station, Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket.
Good morning. It is 9 o'clock here on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket. This is the Dunham and Miller Show. Got Gordo's Corner coming up at 9:15, a ranch report with David Moore at 9:35. And we have a very special guest in studio with us right now. He's one of the richest men in the world. He has a lot of ideas about the future of energy in this country. He's a big supporter of Oklahoma State. He was a brief member of the Texas A&M basketball team. It's Boone Pickens who's with us in the studio. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, can we start there with your basketball career? The story goes that you went there on a basketball scholarship, Texas A&M, and they kicked you off the team?
No.
Oh.
Never kicked me off.
Oh, okay.
No. Just took me off scholarship.
Oh, took you off scholarship. Okay. So what were you, a guard or what were you?
Back, I was a center. I was a lot taller then than I am now. It's not necessary to be that tall. No, of course I was a guard. I played at Amarillo High School, and we played in the finals, high school finals, against Thomas Jefferson, San Antonio. Do you all remember Kyle Rote?
You bet. Yeah.
Okay, Kyle and I guarded each other.
Oh, wow.
And I outscored Kyle by 2 points. And but Kyle never did play basketball again. You remember he's football at SMU and then at New York Giants. But anyway, I was there. All you had was a scholarship for 1 year. Then they didn't give you a 4-year scholarship. And if you got hurt, well, they just say, well, we're sorry. They didn't go ahead and finish out scholarship. So that's not the way it was in 47. And so after a year, well, they say we're not renewing, but you can stay and play. And if you develop further the next year, go back on scholarship. And so I decided to transfer to Oklahoma A&M, now Oklahoma State. And so I did transfer. Actually, the only places I could transfer, I was in a pre-veterinary medicine. And so I either had to go to Oklahoma, really had to go to Oklahoma A&M if I stayed in veterinary medicine. I did not, but I had agriculture credits, and I could then, it opened up Texas Tech. So I could either go to Tech or Oklahoma A&M. And so I chose Oklahoma A&M.
Do you ever regret not going into veterinary medicine?
No, I really don't. I really
he's done
don't.
pretty well, Gordon.
Yeah,
he's done okay.
I'd have never made as much money as a veterinarian as I've made as a geologist. So, but I went to Oklahoma A&M, switched over to geology and graduate. I tried to play basketball up there. I lasted out till November 48, and I was then transferred out of Southwest Conference. We had the best freshman record at Texas. We beat Texas twice at that year, and I played in those games. But anyway, I got up to Stillwater, and so now I was ineligible because I transferred to Southwest Conference. And
that's back when they were winning national championships at Oklahoma A&M, right, in the 40s?
It was a little later.
Was it later?
Yeah, 44, 45, they had national champions. But they still had good, it was
good program.
It was tougher basketball than Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And so I was there, and they had me guarding a guy every day named Norman Pilgrim, real good player. And so the practice was over one day, and Gene Smeltzer was assistant coach. And I always felt like Gene didn't like me. But we were walking off the court in front of 5 or 6 guys, and he said, Pickens, you can't run fast enough to scatter leaves. And I got in the shower, and I thought, I don't need to take this. And so, I don't know, a week later, I decided my basketball was over with. And I could see the way it was going to end up. I was going to probably get to play enough to get a letter jacket. And that was about it. We were going to be 10 up or 10 down. With 1 minute to play, I'd probably get on the floor.
Right. Well, with what you could have contributed in points to the basketball program, you've contributed so much in your generosity to Oklahoma State. It's remarkable what that place looks like now compared to what it looked like 20 years ago. What inspired you to become so active to make a difference at Oklahoma State?
Well, I had I'm a geologist from there, got out in 51. Did very well, and first I did the geology school, and gave the money to elevate that program. And I don't know, I got rich, I wanted to do something for the school. And I was born in Oklahoma, about 90 miles south of Stillwater.
Craig's a Sooner fan, by the way. If y'all want to arm wrestle or something.
Let me tell you, it's Sooner. I'm for the Sooners when they're not playing Oklahoma State. And I said when I started my program and gave the $165 million, the first gift, I'm now over $500 million to that school.
Wow.
And half of it's academics and half to athletics. But what I told them up there at Stillwater, I said, there's no more we hate Sooners. I said, we play the Sooners one time a year, football. I said, give it 24 hours and we're all back from Oklahoma again. And I said, we don't hate anybody here. And Clay Bennett at OU, chairman of the Board of Regents there, he came down here to Dallas. We had lunch one day and he said, you've done more for bringing the state together than anybody ever has.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So you find they listen to you when you say things like that?
They do listen to me. Either because I've given them a lot of money, that'll help them, people listening. But no, they know I'm a serious guy about. There are only 3 million people in Oklahoma, and I was born in a little town, 5,700 people, and most of the kids, I feel like on that campus have come from smaller towns in the state. So I don't know. It's been fun to do. Feel like I've gotten good results. Somebody said, have you gotten your money's worth? I said, yeah, when we went, I won 12 games last year, I got my money's worth.
Yeah, that was a fun ride last year.
Yeah, Boone Pickens and I actually have a lot in common. I was born in Amarillo, moved to Oklahoma. You were born in Oklahoma, moved to Amarillo.
Outside of that,
we're monetarily we're about $1.4 billion apart, but
in different ways.
But still, I find this interesting. Tonight you're going to be on the Piers Morgan show. Tony Robbins is the guest host. And you're going to be on there with Mark Cuban. And you and Mark Cuban are neighbors. You live in very close proximity, but you tell us you've actually never met Mark. How is that possible?
I've never met Mark. I've pulled for his basketball team a lot. I've seen him on television. I've seen him at the games and all, but I've never met him.
You've never just thought, I'm going to walk next door or across the street or wherever it is, knock on the door,
borrow
and
a weed eater or something.
When you have to borrow some lawn equipment, maybe.
Sure, and I would normally do that, but I've got pretty good lawn equipment.
When was the last time that you mowed your own lawn?
Well, I see. It was probably 50 years ago.
50?
I'm 84.
Yeah.
So probably 50 years ago.
We're trying to convince George to go with a lawn service. He still mows his own lawn.
I still mow my own lawn.
Well, listen, I still trim trees.
Okay.
I get up daylight and trim trees, and
that'll wear you out. That trimming trees.
Well, it's good therapy. So,
all right. So you've got a lot of great ideas when it comes to energy. That's been your passion. That's been your business for so many years. You think you've got a plan that could make us give us energy independence in the future if someone would just listen to you? Are people listening to your plan for wind and solar and natural gas?
Well, wind and solar are not going to replace oil. 70% of all the oil used every day goes to transportation fuel. Wind and solar go to power generation. So we're not running many cars off of there are not many electric cars. Those that are, it seems like they're struggling with them. I'm for anything American for energy. But we have plenty of natural gas and we have plenty of oil. Could we be independent? We could be independent this way. You could do a North American energy alliance, bring together Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And that they have enough resources. We have enough. We could help do some financing for Mexico in particular. And we could get off of OPEC oil pretty easy. We're importing today about 9 million barrels of oil, and half of it comes from OPEC. I consider them to be the enemy. If they're the enemy, oil purchased from OPEC, some of the money goes to the Taliban. And, I say these kind of things, and I expect somebody to jump up and say, you don't know what you're talking about. Nobody says that. Nobody challenges me on anything I say. And so here you've got 4.5 million barrels coming from OPEC. If we did our 18-wheelers in the United States, we'll save $2 a gallon on the fuel. And if we did those, it would be 3 million barrels a day. So we could knock out 75% of OPEC with 8 million 18-wheelers. And there are 250 million vehicles in America. So nobody challenges that either. And actually that is happening, but you could do it twice as fast if you had leadership in Washington. Not a subsidy, no subsidy, leadership in Washington that said federal fleet's going to resources in America. Don't have to identify which resources, but our federal fleet, which is 200,000 vehicles a year, that would show the leadership that, hey, we are going to get on our own resources.
And you're saying operate those on natural gas, not on diesel.
You could. There's some of them, though, battery will work on light duty.
Mm-hmm.
And but you've got to, here we've never examined the availability of resources in America. We just take foreign oil. Why? Because it's been cheap. And so the system, the infrastructure's in place to use foreign oil. But see, if you look at the Straits of Hormuz, there's 17 million barrels of oil move through there every day. How much of it comes to the United States? 2 million barrels. You know, here we are with the Fifth Fleet in there. We're in a place where we get people killed every day. And, to me, I'd get the hell out of there. Mm-hmm. And somebody says, well, you're an isolationist. And I'm not an isolationist. I don't want our people getting killed. And it's expensive to do all of that. We have 4 carriers in there. Do you know how many carriers there are in the world?
I don't.
2,500 million. Just 25. Just 25.
We'll go with 25 as a group answer.
They're 12. The Chinese have one that's not fully outfitted, and the other 11 are ours. Those are all nuclear. But can you imagine? We have all of the carriers. So either we're real smart that we've cornered the carrier market, or maybe we ought to scratch our head and ask why we have 11 and nobody else has any. So I don't know. I think there's, in this election coming up, you got to change some things.
Have you made up your mind who you're going to vote for?
Sure. I mean, Romney. I've never voted for a Democrat in my life. That's hard to say. I voted for, I'm talking about for president. I've never voted for a Democrat. Mm-hmm. That I may be a real one of one, being born in eastern Oklahoma and never voting for a Democrat for president, but I never have. But the thing about it is you got to change things. I mean, we can't keep doing what we're doing now. You're doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, and you're not getting different results.
You said that leadership in Washington was the biggest roadblock to something like that happening. Did you ever consider the title T. Boone Pickens, President of the United States? Did that ever appeal to you?
Well, I almost thought I'd run for governor against George W. Bush here, and he got to be president. Mm-hmm. So maybe I ought to.
That's the closest you came.
That was the only time I was ever serious about politics, and I think I did exactly the right thing not to get in politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not only the day-to-day grind, but just how about all the personal attacks that go on? I mean, I know that's been going on for a while, but was that a thought?
Personal what?
The personal attacks that would be levied by the other side if you got into it. Does that doesn't deter you at all, or?
No, that doesn't. I've been involved in takeovers of companies and things like that, and I had all kinds of personal attacks and all, and on that. But this president that we got now, he really does. It's disturbing to me when he gets up there and says that wealthy people are not paying their fair share. You
got a ledger to show him for the last few years?
I can go. I'm now 84. Mm-hmm. Since 70, I'll start from 70 and come forward. 14 years. I paid $665 million in taxes, and I've given away $1.1 billion. And
that sounds like your fair share.
Yeah,
kind of like me.
It tells me I'm not paying my fair share. Come on, pal. But listen, I'm not in any way complaining about it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the tax I pay are fair to me, but I don't think asking me to pay more because I'm not paying. I don't like that. It offends me for him to say that.
Let's clarify something, too. You've never had a country music career. T. Boone Pickens is not a musical artist in any way. You don't even play guitar.
No, I've got a good name for it.
You have a perfect name for it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too late to start a band. I think you got to start playing guitar.
I'm not kidding you. I couldn't hit a lick.
Really? Not even if George and I wanted to get in a jug band with you, so playing very rudimentary instruments?
Let me tell you, when I was in the fraternity, and I was a pledge in the fraternity, all of us sang in the interfraternity sing. So they had me in the living room at the fraternity house. I was an SAE, and Gene Chambers asked us, he started, we're going to sing one of the songs, Violets, and we started to sing, and he got a troubled look on his face. And he moved around and listened and listened. He came around to me, and he said, go up to your room and study and don't come back. And I went up to my room, and a member said, what are you doing up here? And I said, Gene Chambers. He said, no. Everybody, all pledges, total, have to sing in the interfraternity sing. He brought me back downstairs, and when Gene Chambers saw us coming back down, he waved me off and said, no, I don't want him back down here.
That was the end of your singing
career. Is that
career,
bad?
huh?
I mean, it is kind of sad.
We could work on it. I bet you get better with time. Okie State going to be okay by the end of the year in football?
Well, I didn't like a game last week.
Yeah.
I mean, we're supposed to be in there with the best defense we've had in 10 years, and they score 52 points on us.
Yeah.
And, the offense was fine. The freshman quarterback was great. But I tell you what, something's got to happen on the defense. But did you see the penalties on that thing? We had 157 yards of penalties.
Wow.
And they had 15 yards.
They got Pac-10 there.
You think we had homers?
Yeah, I think so. You got Pac-10.
It was a Pac-12
or 12, I guess they are. Now,
yeah. It's well, I don't know. We'll see. I think we'll still win 10 games this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, good luck to you. Good luck to your Oklahoma State Cowboys. We appreciate the time this morning. Thanks for coming up to our studio this morning.
Okay, can I respond?
Yes, sir.
I asked Jay. I said, Jay, what do these guys want to talk about? And he said, they may be pretty hard on you. And I said, how can they be hard on an 84-year-old guy?
Right.
And he said, well, you don't know what they'll do. Said they could.
Yeah, George is usually vicious.
Oh, come on.
Because George is against fracking. He thinks that's
I did not bring it up.
The world.
Maybe we'll have an off-air discussion about that.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
about fracking.
You want 2 minutes on fracking?
Sure.
Okay, tell me what's disturbing to you.
No, I think it is a resource that certainly should be utilized. I just
now you're talking about natural gas.
Natural gas.
Yeah.
I think the fracking process, especially if we used it around residential areas, I think it's concerning because I live in an area where, my grandfather was in the energy business like you, and I think my grandfather would be offended by some of the things the energy companies have done to citizens without too much concern. So that's my concern, just as a citizen who has to live in it.
Are you from Flower Mound?
I live near there.
Yeah. I've fracked 3,000 wells, and I've never had a problem. Now, what concerns you? What is it there?
It's a lot of use of water that just goes away. I've seen holding tanks that have contaminated water in it, and look, if it's handled correctly and if the gas companies does what they're supposed to do, I think it could be a viable way to do it. I just think that if they use carelessness, we could have trouble if it's right near someone's home.
Okay, well, there have been over 800,000 wells fracked.
Yeah, and the air in Denton County is worse than the air in Dallas County, the air quality.
It is.
That doesn't make any sense to me. And I've never heard anyone on the gas side of it explain that to me.
Well, Dallas is a non-attainment city, EPA. Mm-hmm. It's a non-attainment, but it's non-attainment because of the emissions from the vehicles is what causes it non-attainment. And, of course, Houston is, Los Angeles is, but there are a lot of non-attainment cities around the United States. So I don't know.
So you think I have nothing to worry about as someone who lives near 9 gas wells within a quarter of a mile?
No, because the fracking, I thought you were going to tell me it was emissions off the tank batteries.
Well, no. I don't know if the generators do much good that run 24 hours a day. They run on diesel. Not all the wells are run off solar or batteries. They're run off diesel that I can hear.
Now, what you mean? Run what?
For the I'm trying to
those
think
wells
of the term.
those wells are flowing, so
right.
You aren't pumping them.
Well, something's running 24 hours a day on diesel.
And what is that mysterious thing that's running? It's a device that we don't know what it does.
What's the word I'm trying to think of? It starts with a C. Compressor.
Oh, sure. Okay,
yeah.
compressors
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a little concerning.
They're compressing natural gas into the pipeline.
Yes,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Let's have a beer some evening.
Yeah, we'll do that. See, I didn't want to get into that. We've gone 6 minutes, and
I didn't mean
he
for us
started
to
a
get
fight. I didn't mean to fight you.
But before you go, I do want to know: do you use the same deodorant, and have you used the same deodorant for like years and years and years?
How about what?
The same deodorant. We had a discussion earlier about toiletries, and I've used the same deodorant for 12 years. And do you think that's unusual?
I use Left Guard.
Left Guard, the off-brand. All right, T. Boone, thank you so much for coming up here. We appreciate it. That's T. Boone Pickens with us here on the ticket. Up next, what's left of Gordo's Corner?
Oh, we do have a Gordo's Corner. I'll tell you have a Gordo's Corner.